to this week's Household Huddle. Before we start this week's huddle, I want to say thank you to all of our friends that shared pictures of their Abigail trail mix from last week. Awesome job, everyone. Okay, now before we jump into this week's story, let's take just a minute to remember the 4 steps of a household huddle. Do you remember what they are? Breathe. So first we take a deep breath. Because taking a deep breath helps us to slow down just a little bit and to be present just where we are. Share. Then we share with each other, sharing our high and our low, or a joy and a concern. And this is when we not only get to share, but we also get to listen to one another. It's also during our sharing time that we get to share the story from the week. Reflect. During Reflect, we take some time to think about the story, maybe thinking about what the story says to us, or how it connects to our lives. Sometimes we also reflect by doing an activity together. Thank. And finally, we thank. Sometimes we thank someone in our household huddle for something that they've done, and sometimes we thank God for something we've experienced in our lives. It's that easy. Okay, my friends. So today's story comes from the book of Exodus, and we all know that the book of Exodus is in which testament? The Old Testament. Okay, well, a few weeks ago, we heard a story about Moses and the burning bush. Do you remember that one? Well, today we're going to hear about Moses again. But this story goes back to when Moses was first born. And like many stories, there are good parts and there are bad parts. There are happy parts and there are sad parts. Well, today's story is about the Israelites, or the Hebrews. And at the time of today's story, there were more and more Israelites than ever before. The Israelites had children, and their children had children, and soon there were too many to count. Most of the Israelites lived in a place called Egypt, where there were also lots of people called Egyptians. Unfortunately, a sad part in the story is that the Israelites and the Egyptians couldn't see each other as the same, and they were treated very differently. Well, a new king called the Pharaoh came into power in Egypt, and he did not like that there were so many Israelites. He was afraid that one day they would take over the whole land. So another sad part of the story was that he decided to make all of the Israelites into slaves. He made them work from early in the morning until late at night, doing very hard work. Even if they were tired, the Egyptians would not give them a break. They just made them work harder. It was very bad. Pharaoh did all this, and he still wasn't happy. The Israelites were still growing in number, so he decided to make a new law. And this was the saddest part of all. Pharaoh said that if any baby boys were born to Israelite parents, he would have them killed. Well, there was an Israelite couple, and they were going to have a baby. And when their baby was born, it was a little boy. They loved their little boy more than anything else in the world, just like your parents love you. So they decided to hide him because they didn't want anyone to hurt him. Later in the story, we're going to find out the baby's name, and it's Moses. Well, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months. But as he got older, he didn't sleep as much, and he cried louder than before. So his parents did the only thing they could do. They made a strong basket, and they filled it with soft blankets. Then they put baby Moses in the basket, and they floated the basket near some tall grass in the Nile River. Now, baby Moses had a sister named Miriam, and she watched from a distance to see what would happen to her baby brother. While she was watching, she saw someone coming. It was Pharaoh's daughter and her servants, and they were dressed like famous people. Miriam had seen Pharaoh's daughter before, and she remembered what she looked like. Pharaoh's daughter had come down to the river for a swim. And while she was swimming, she noticed a basket floating a little ways away in the tall grass. So she asked one of her servants to go see what it was. The girl brought the basket over to her. And when Pharaoh's daughter opened it up, Moses woke up. And he started to cry. What a sweet, beautiful little baby. It must be one of the Israelites, Pharaoh's daughter said to her servant. Miriam had seen what had happened, and she hurried over and asked, "Would you like me to go find an Israelite woman to feed the baby for you?" "Yes, go find someone who can nurse the baby," she answered. Miriam ran as fast as she could, and she told her mother that Pharaoh's daughter had found Moses and wanted someone to come and feed him. They went and found Moses with Pharaoh's daughter, and she asked them, "Please help me to feed this baby, and I will pay you for helping me." Pharaoh's daughter didn't realize that it was actually Moses' mother. Later, Moses was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, and he lived in the Pharaoh's palace. Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses, which means he was taken out of the water. Okay, so a few things you might want to talk with your huddle about. There were happy parts and there were sad parts in today's story. Which part do you think was the saddest? And which part do you think was the happiest? Do you think it was safe to put Moses in a basket and put him in the river? If you were trying to hide Moses, where would you put him? Great job, everyone. Okay, if you're looking for an activity to do with your household huddle, how about inventing a way to safely float baby Moses on the water? Use something to represent baby Moses, and then use your imagination to build a floating bed for him. You can try floating it in a bowl or in the sink or even in your bathtub. And don't forget to cover him up with a blanket to keep him warm. Well, my friends, we always end our household huddles with a thank you. And like Moses' parents, who loved him so much that they did whatever they needed to do to take care of him, I want to thank all of our parents who take care of us and love us even when we make mistakes and bad choices. Friends, thank you to all of you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy your household huddles this week. Remember, household huddle can happen anytime and anywhere, so just be creative. But no matter where you are or what you're doing, remember that you are amazing, and don't ever forget that God loves you just the way you are. And so do I. If you'd like to share a picture of your floating bed for Moses to be part of next week's Household Huddle video, first of all, I'm going to ask that you turn your phone sideways to take the picture horizontally, and then you can email the pictures to Pastor Kelly at oldtownucc.org.